And when I see that, I'll go ahead and open the meeting.
We're recording.
Super. All right. So welcome everybody. This is our final meeting of the year for the Crownsville Advisory Committee. I am your friendly neighborhood chair, Chris Trumbauer, and we've got a pretty cool agenda for you today. I think we've got some great updates on ongoing efforts that hopefully we're all aware of, but we've got some good progress to report, and we'll get through those. I think it should be a relatively concise and short meeting, but we'll have time for any questions for the committee. Then we'll do public comments at the end, and then I will look to set our schedule for our 4 meetings in 2026. So with that, I think we will start off our meeting with the project manager updates. Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you, but I believe you're sharing duties today, so you can handle this however you want, and Kalisha can share the presentation.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, we have our updates organized into two parts, kind of the capital projects, the utility projects, and then also the park projects. So Chris Biggerstaff with DPW is mostly involved with the utility projects. So it makes sense for Chris to give kind of an update, similar to he did a couple months ago when we met in person. So this is kind of a snapshot, where we are now, where we're going next, that sort of thing. Chris, if you're ready.
Yep, cool. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so for the Crownsville water main system, the contractor's scheduled to start test pitting kind of mid-December, but the main work of the project will commence in January 2026. So this is, again, the revitalization of the Crownsville water main system. So, and the current schedule has the construction activities being completed in February 2027. So roughly just over a year to complete everything. So,
and Chris, just to clarify, so this will be redoing the current water system, and we think that will be, for the foreseeable future, this will be able to provide good public water to everything on campus, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is totally replacing the in-ground water piping system with new PVC water pipes.
Yeah, and this will be a big accomplishment when this gets done, hopefully in 27. Then this will be the water source, robust water source for the campus, for in perpetuity, hopefully, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Yep. So moving along is the Crownsville sewage pumping station and force main. So this will be replacing the wastewater plant eventually. Currently design is around the 90%. We're supposed to be receiving the 90% documents right before Christmas so we can review those through the holiday break. And we're hoping to get 100% bid documents ready in winter and then starting the bidding process in spring 2026. We have received the planning board advisory and the county council approval for the master plan amendments. So that's mostly for the force main that's going down General's Highway. So we have received all those, and those are being sent to MDE for adoption. Moving to the Crownsville water treatment plant. So the treatment plant has been evaluated. We just received that evaluation, and it's being reviewed by our operations and engineering groups to see what further tasks we need to do with that. Mike, if you want to go to the next slide. Yep, thank you. So for the Crownsville wastewater plant, currently we're on hold. We have some further discussions with MDE on what needs to be done now and then what can be done in the future when the pump station and force main are online. We're hoping to kind of delay everything into one bigger project at the end when the pump station and force main are done instead of having to do smaller tasks now. So we're talking with MDE on that one.
And Chris, can I ask you or Mike, can you give an approximate time horizon for that? Like I know it may need to be a 5 or a 10-year increment, but that whole area in the master plan, is planned for the meadow and the walk and all of that. And so do you have any sort of estimate on when that decommissioning of the existing wastewater treatment plant could start?
Yes, so the pump station force main obviously have to go in first, and that's roughly 18 months to construct all of that. So if we start bidding in spring next year, award summer, so you're talking a year, 2028, roughly, end of 2028, something like that.
Okay. No, that's great. So more like a, potential within 5 years rather than within 10 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yes.
very cool.
So,
And I've
okay,
I've got
Mike.
the next one, the electrical system upgrades. So similar to oh there you go. Second slide, Kalisha, if you're oh, there you are, right there. So similar to the other water and wastewater, the electrical system needs a lot of attention. So we started this project early, prior to the master plan. So we're getting close to design completion, do our final permitting and coordination with BGE over the next couple months. So hopefully, I'd say 6 to 9 months from now, we can start construction of the new electrical system. Next slide. So these are the park projects that we pulled out early. The first one is the intersection, Crownsville Road, Fairfield Loop, Generals Highway. We know we can make that intersection better. And then also with the removal of the med service building, which is in kind of the top of the hill on that intersection. We're working with Maryland Historic Trust to get permission to remove that building. Freeing up Removing that building gives us a lot of room and a lot of land kind of to work with. So we've started the design with the civil engineer just a couple weeks ago, and we'll be working over the next couple months to come up with a concept design, a schematic design, which we anticipate in springtime submission. And there will be with all of these park projects, there will be public engagement, similar to what we did with the trail project. We will be having a public meeting after we have a designer on board and we have concept plans. That's something we can present to the public. All of these projects will be going through a similar procedure. And then especially the intersection, once we're ready to present kind of our concept or our schematic design level plan, we'll be scheduling a public meeting.
And I'll note, Mike, that what you've got listed on here will also require funding in our capital program in the future. So it'll go through that process as well.
Absolutely. Next one is the athletic track. That was another one that was pulled out early. Let's look into building some recreation facilities. We should have a purchase order for the civil designer pretty soon, and we'll start the initial design process with that, and then move towards public engagement. The Campanella building, another park and rec resources. We're starting with a study of that building. We want to know what we have, what can be done. We got to answer the question: is it a little too far gone? If so, what are our other options? All of that we're going to be doing early in the design, coming up with kind of a conceptual building study for Campanella. And we just kicked that off. We issued notice to proceed to the architect a few weeks ago, and they are starting with a hazmat survey. They need to know kind of what's in there. We've done some initial investigations on what's on site, but when we really drill down into a specific building or a specific area, we need to do a more enhanced survey. So they're starting with that, and then that'll kind of dictate where we go next with the design. So we're anticipating in springtime to have a draft feasibility report and then public engagement to present what we found, what we're planning, sort of thing. Next slide, Lisa. And then finally, on the park project side, we have the maintenance building, which is kind of in the central part of the campus. It's a great resource for our facilities group to manage the property out of there. And we've done a lot of, since we've taken over the property, we've done a lot of stuff in-house to enhance that building and better their operational capacity. But I think we've sort of reached the limit, and a lot of where we would go next would be fire alarm, fire suppression, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, that sort of thing. So we brought the architect on board to kind of help us plan what should we do next, and then we pull smaller projects out of there. Next slide. So I wanted to update everyone on the food bank. I think most of the committee knows that the food bank is interested in moving to a new location. this was included in the master plan. The map on the right side of the slide is copied from the master plan. That site plan is very conceptual, though. They may, as they go into their planning, that may change, you know, where they orient parking, where they orient the building. That was just sort of an initial, you know, put something on the map. But they are interested in the old staff cafeteria location, which is along Crownsville Road. So we're working with them concurrently as they start their capital fund campaign. They have brought an engineer or a owner's rep on board, and they're working. I believe they have an architect, if not already. So we're working closely with them, but we need to get the staff cafeteria location demolished. Maryland Historic Trust has approved the removal of that building. So we're working to get the hazmat remediated, and then also follow along with the demolition of that building, so that the food bank can continue their designing and planning for that new location. That's all I had for project manager updates. Thank you, everyone.
Great. That's like I said at the beginning, there's a lot going on, a lot of progress on things that up to now have been conceptual and theoretical. They're now actually happening. Before we move on, does anybody have any project manager update specific questions for Mike or Chris based on what we just saw? Oh, Aaron.
Yeah, hi, just real quick. I'm curious on the food bank, how are you all, are you subdividing that property, or are you leasing are you doing like a ground lease to the food bank?
So I'll take initial response, Chris, if you want to expand.
Yeah,
but
go for it.
Our plan and what we're pursuing is transferring the property to the food bank, from the county to the food bank, and we're working on getting the right survey together and getting a parcel and all the submissions that you know, we need approval from on that front.
Got it. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so now we can move to the next exciting agenda item, which is one thing that Mike and Chris didn't mention, but that is happening, is the natural surface trails that we're aware of. And we've got our Rec and Parks Director, Jessica Lays, to give us an update on that. And I think we have a slide to pull up. Yes. Jessica, over to you.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really excited to share this picture with the committee. This is the natural trail system that has been proposed on the other side of the property. So if you're familiar with Hawkins Road, the entranceway would be off of Hawkins Road, and it would eventually connect to the Bacon Ridge parcel that is on the other side of 97. So what this will be is approximately 5 miles of natural trail added to the property that we are calling the South Forest Trail. You look at the picture, there's this outline. I call that the ring trail, which is about 3.5 miles. And then within the ring trail are 5 different little loops that vary in size to give us a little over 5 miles of trail. That would connect to Bacon Ridge, which is about 20 miles of trail. So then we'd have 25 miles of trail that would be accessible to walk, hike, or mountain bike. This is in the Maryland Environmental Trust easement area, and we'll be partnering with Scenic Rivers Land Trust, just like we have over on the Bacon Ridge side, to develop these trails. And so far, DPW, our wonderful project manager, Mike, has already had a public meeting on the trails in which DPW, Rec and Parks, our design consultants, RKK, and our public engagement consultants, Design Collective, all sat on. We got extremely positive feedback from the community and from the users of the trails to move this project forward. We are also partnering with the Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts, known as MORE, to help us construct these trails. MORE is the group that constructed the trails on the Bacon Ridge side. They also constructed trails down in Waterworks in Annapolis. They will help us build and then long-term maintain the trails. They've been out there, they flagged this, so we can get out and kind of see where the trails will be, taking into consideration things like streams and wetlands, making sure the right buffers are in place, making sure that we identify specimen trees that we want to avoid and keep the habitat intact as much as we can. the nice thing about this trail system, while it's small, it has a variety of difficulty levels. And the way that we describe that is really the amount of topography that you are covering and the slope of that topography. So if you're like me, who's not super great on a mountain bike, I may go on loop 1 that has a very flat topography to ride on. But if you're a little bit more advanced, like our budget officer, you might go on the loop 4, which is a lot more up and down going through ravines. So really exciting to see the trail system come together and become a reality. We're hoping to have an agreement in place with more and to start the process very soon.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Jessica. So I'm assuming that these trails will be constructed similar to Bacon Ridge, where more will use a volunteer workforce. Is that what you anticipate for these ones?
That's the model we have on these trails. They might be a slight bit wider than the trails that you're used to over in Bacon Ridge for a couple of reasons. Just to have a better surface top so that more users can use it, not just the mountain bikers. But the process would remain the same. They would come out, they would build the trails, and then they would help us maintain and operate the trails once they're built.
Cool. Well, keep your eye out. Once this all gets approved, most likely our friends at Moore will put out a call for volunteers. My son Johnny and I helped build the Bacon Ridge trails. It's actually a lot of fun. You get to swing this big kind of like pickaxe thing and just, get some energy out. So it's a fun way to contribute to a really great resource for county residents. Any questions from the committee to Jessica on the trails? Super. So that's something that hopefully can get done in the near term, where as soon as that agreement gets done, once they start building it, probably, a few weeks or a few months of construction, and that'll be complete.
That's what we're hoping for. We just have to get the right agreements into place, and then we will work with the user group on a construction schedule.
Very good. Awesome. Asha, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And thanks for that, Jessica. I was just wondering if any provisions had been made yet for accessibility for the trail.
So there's lots of different ways that the trail can be used and communicated, to the public. I think that some of the access points are going to be the strength of that, and that's you can come to this trail both from the Bacon Ridge side, as well as the Hawkins Road entrance, and that they will be very accessible, have different varied amounts of types of people that can come, whether you're looking to just hike or you're looking to come out and challenge yourself. It'll be extremely accessible.
But just to clarify, these will be natural surface trails. They won't be paved, Asha. So we are, as you know, planning other accessible trails like the Path of Reverence and things like that. But these will be natural surface trails in the woods.
Okay, thank you.
And
Great.
Chris, if I may interject, this is Cecily Bedwell from Design Collective. I know when Moore was talking about these, they were looking at a trishaw to allow folks that have physical limitations to ride along with someone who's able-bodied to experience the trails as well. So, and likely that wouldn't be the highest difficulty trails, but there might be some access provided through that program that they offer.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Cecily. Okay, so we're going to move on now to our next update, and I think we've got Jason here and Dr. Grimes, but I'll turn it over to you, Jason, to set us up on the next presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. So when we met last in September, we were happy to announce that the Office of Planning and Zoning had just welcomed Dr. Ladetta Grimes as the program manager for the Crownsville Digital Archives and Storytelling Project. Since joining in September, she's really hit the ground running and made some really significant progress on the project, and with much more progress too. That will be coming in the next several months. So with that, I would like to also now be happy to announce that Dr. Grimes is with us today, and she will be presenting on our progress thus far.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you for having me and let you know that I am just really excited about joining this project and about being here today. So I want to talk a little bit about the progress we've made. I'll start out talking about the grant itself and the key goals that we wanted to establish, and then we'll talk about some progress that we've made, and then we'll talk about some of our future plans and our future possibilities. So the grant itself, as you all know, is a $500,000 grant. It is a congressionally funded grant through the National Historical Publications and Records Commission. What you might not know is specifically how it's going to be used. And so one of our key goals is to create an oral history collection. According to the grant, we're responsible for creating up to 50 oral histories. And when we say oral histories, our goal is to collect 50 oral histories from people who experienced Crownsville Hospital firsthand. So that's going to be those people who were patients, their family members, anybody who was a doctor or a nurse, people who worked there, people who were neighbors there, people who may have volunteered there. The shorthand definition of oral history by Dr. Paul Thompson is living evidence. And so what we'll be looking for with these oral histories is people who, again, have firsthand primary experience with Crownsville Hospital. And so if you all know of anybody who has that experience, we would love to get their information and we would be interested in talking to them for this project. Second, our goal is to create a digital archive of all of those archival materials that we found there at Crownsville Hospital. As we know, in 2004, when its doors were closed, a lot of the archival materials and objects were just left in place. And OPZ has done a really good job of going in there and putting those materials together. And at this point, we have 170 boxes worth of archival paperwork. And we've also sent paperwork over to the Maryland State Archives. That are those patient records that we will not be making public. But we do have those 170 boxes that we've collected in addition to archival objects that are going to be moved over to a central location. The third part of our goal is to create, we want to create a virtual as well as physical space where the public can access these archival materials. And so with those three goals in mind, I want to talk about the progress that we've made thus far. One of the things that we have done, and we're, been moving through this over the last couple of months, is the hiring process. The grant allows for us to hire a lead archivist as well as a oral history research associate. We made really good progress with the oral history associate, and we hired Zach Boots, who came to us from the Human Genome Project. He started back in, I think it was September, and he hit the ground running. Unfortunately, he is going to be moving on to a position at Johns Hopkins. We just learned that yesterday. And so we'll be opening that hiring process up. The great news is that we had over 100 applications for these positions, and there were some really good candidates in there. So we're going to review those things and review those applications and go back and see, who some of our better candidates were. Also, beyond hiring, we had a visit to Bowie State University, and they are going to be partnering with us to do some of these oral histories. They have agreed through a memorandum of understanding to do 10 of the oral histories. So we'll be working with students at Bowie State to get that accomplished. We visited the campus on November 4th, and we took a tour. And if you've not been to Bowie State, it is really a treasure and a treat. One of the highlights of that tour was the broadcasting studios under the leadership of Dr. Otis Thomas. I apologize for that. And the work that he is doing with those students was incredible. And so we're hoping to tap into that. We're hoping to establish a relationship such that the students are not only doing some of these oral histories, but they are actually video recording the oral histories and, helping us to do little ads and things like that to get the work out there. Secondly, we've also had a meeting with Maryland State Archives, and we've spoken with them about, the collections that they have at this point about Crownsville, and, how we'll be able to work with them once we get our things moved over to Commerce Drive. That is another one of the things we have in progress. We have secured a location at Commerce Drive where the archives and those objects will be stored. And we have established a date of December 12th when all of those objects will be moved from Crownsville Hospital to our Commerce Drive location. Plans and possibilities. One of the things we're really excited about, and again, we're going to be working with Bowie State on this, is a series of oral history workshops. If you're familiar with oral history, you understand that it is a very communal work. And so what we want to do with these oral history workshops is we want to not only train students, but we want to train the community and give them the skill sets that they need to go out into the community and do some of these oral histories as well. Like I said, the grant sponsors about 50 oral histories, but we know that there are so many more people who are out there that need to be interviewed. And so we're going to be equipping people in the community as well as students to go out and do their own oral histories. And we'll be training them to industry standards to get these done. Also, we want to create internships such that, again, there's a wealth of power and just intelligence over at Bowie State. And so we want to see how we can create some internships to get them involved in this work. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Grimes. A lot happening there and very important work. And we're looking forward to seeing some of the stories that come out of that. Very important. Any questions for Dr. Grimes or for Jason on this presentation? All right. So now we'll have, if there's general comments or questions from committee members, and I'll start off as a committee member on one thing that I just want everyone to realize. We got some very generous support from the governor's office and the General Assembly a couple years ago to help with kind of the initial capital costs of Crownsville. That is almost completely spoken for now in some of these utility upgrades and designs that we've done to try and get in a place to be able to move the master plan forward. So now I just want everyone to realize these upcoming projects are going to require future funding in the county's capital budget. And so we know that these are priority. We know the county executive very much wants to get these done. But just to be a little bit of a realist, we are competing with other needs that the county has too. So I just want folks to realize that, we can't wave a magic wand and get these done. We'll have to put them in the system and advocate for them and get this important work, started in construction and in the ground. So it looks like we have a question or a comment from Chanel. You can go ahead and unmute.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Ms. Grimes, for that lovely report. And it's wonderful that the capacity and structure around the archival preservation is definitely building. I just wanted to get some understanding, and forgive me if I may have missed it. Is the overall goal to build a repository of this archive and collection on site for public access?
Dr. Grimes, I'll take stab at this and then you can follow up.
And Dr. Grimes, you were also muted, by the way. So unmute after Jason, all right?
So yeah, the ultimate goal of the storytelling project, not this $500,000 grant, but the overall program would be to build a physical repository. For this project, the digital repository is a deliverable for this 3-year program. But I know it was part of the master plan that an on-site repository at Crownsville is a goal of the master planning process. And so this work will work towards achieving that goal.
Yes, so it's my understanding this is a part of the phased plan for the museum that was further contextualized in the master plan.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Do we have any other comments or questions from committee members?
Chris, may I comment?
Yes, you may, Scott Himes.
Hey there. So first off, I want to say welcome, Dr. Grimes. That's awesome to have you. And I'm looking forward to seeing the work you guys are getting done. I love Bowie State. It's a great place. I think it's a great combination of putting talents together with passions, and it's going to be great. I want to first off say how excited I am to see these rec and park projects going in so quickly. It really does show the community that we were serious about this project, and it's actually going to be, actually going to be done, or something's going to be done, and it's going to be little, as I've told people in the community, it's going to be a little piece at a time. But people are very excited in Crownsville about it, so it's good news. I also wanted to congratulate Cecily and Dennis and the Design Collective on getting that award. They are that you should, you might want to remind everybody what it is, but they went to New Orleans and picked up an award about this great design. So something for us to be proud of as being part of this whole project. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And it was an honor. And Miss Faye from the community joined us down there for both the award as well as a session and presented on Crownsville. So it was very well received, and we're happy to do that. And if I may, Jessica announced that we did put in a submission for the Parks and Recreation National conference next year. That was just submitted, so fingers crossed we'll have a round 2 with Jessica in the new year. So wonderful. Keeping the word out, and I would highly recommend Miss Faybelt for the oral history.
Yeah, for sure. I actually had lunch with her yesterday and ran into Janet Owens and her husband. And Janet was very thrilled to hear about the park, and she's very excited about it. So thank you again.
Very cool. Okay, so the next meeting will be in March, because we're meeting quarterly now. I think we will keep them virtual for now, although I do like getting together once a year in person, but we'll save that for later in the year. I know our friends in the General Assembly will be very much involved in their legislative work at that time. So I think we'll put it on the calendar. And it might be beneficial in my thinking if we just set out all the meetings for next year. And this is on the first Thursday. So I was thinking we could do it, do them on the first Thursday, keep them at noon, which seemed to at least be good for this group because you're all here. So we're going to, I think, tentatively go ahead and schedule those. Kalisha will put them on the calendar and get invites out to you all. If anybody has a known conflict, or if this schedule doesn't work, just send me an email and we can look at alternatives. But with a group this big, it's hard to get something. So I'm just going to pencil in the first Thursday of March, June, September, and December. So we'll keep it on track. With that, I guess I'll open it up. If there's any final comments from the public or from anybody on the Zoom, we have time for that. Otherwise, we'll let everyone get on with their day. So last call. Very good. Well, thanks to everyone for their continued service. Thanks especially to Mike Stroud and his team for keeping track of all the stuff that's going on. We will put together a good agenda for you for the March meeting, and we'll see what's happening at that point. So thanks, everyone. Have a great December, and we'll see you in the spring.
Thank you.